CCU Orlando and Aikens Counseling Center present The Authentic Spiritual Journey, a weekly show featuring real and practical spiritual conversations from diverse perspectives here on the Experience of the Soul podcast channel. Today, episode 26, Spiritual Holiday Traditions. And now, your host, Reverend Cynthia Alice Anderson.
Welcome back. We're glad to have you on Authentic Spiritual Journey, and we are about the journey itself, and especially around the holidays. We are so happy to have you with us. My name is Cynthia Alice. I am the host, and I'm here with my incredible producer.
I'm Dave Croft. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
I saw on Facebook somebody posted, the whole war on Christmas and all that manufactured outrage or whatever, and how we can say Merry Christmas. And first of all, haven't we always been able to say that?
Yeah.
Anyway,
exactly.
And just Happy Holidays honors all faiths who celebrate during this holiday season. So I think it's okay to say Merry Christmas, listeners, and I think it's okay to say Happy Holidays.
Yeah, I think it's all good.
Yeah.
I saw one thing too where, I don't think my holiday is better than yours, but it's okay to have your own. Also, it doesn't mean we all have to kind of be the melting pot of holiday and pretend that we're all doing the same thing.
Right.
I think it's wonderful to say Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and, God bless us, everyone.
That's right.
That's the message should be the message of every day. And certainly at the holiday season, we all enjoy, it seems like a little more kindness and a little more love and also a little more crazy, if we're being honest.
Gosh. Between, gigs and multiple church services and just shopping and gift giving and parties. I mean, I'm not complaining about being invited to parties, but
Scrooge.
Yeah, I know, right? How dare you enjoy my presence? But yeah, it's
The
just
Grinch.
it kind of all.
You're turning green right now, Dave.
I am, aren't I? I feel my heart shriveling 3 sizes right now in my chest. But hopefully, by the end of the show and the end of this cup of coffee, my heart will grow 3 sizes.
Yes, and we hope, friends, that when you listen to the podcast, that sometimes you can do it with a good cup of coffee in your hand, a cup of tea, whatever your favorite beverage might be, that you can take it in consciously to really deepen your understanding of some of the spiritual teachings we have. And we are simply having conversations among friends. I have many guests on the show, but today it's mostly myself with Dave. And we plan to have a great show, as we always do. And the title today is Spiritual Holiday Traditions, and it probably should say Spiritual Christmas Traditions, because I was really thinking about the Christmas holiday when I said that.
Yeah, it is Christmas Eve, and so it's okay.
Yeah, and at our church at CCU Orlando, we always have several Christmas Eve services. And this year, it's actually, nobody really cares if I'm stressed or not, but this year it's a lot less stressful for me because we have 2 services on Sunday morning, and we thought that would be good for all the families who want to have a beautiful Christmas Eve service, but it's a little easier with kids, maybe a 9 or 11 a.m. And then we're still doing an evening service tonight on the 24th at 7 p.m. So we love gathering together for the Christmas season. And our central message really is about that when Jesus was born, it was about the Christ consciousness being known on planet Earth. And so even though we celebrate the birth of Jesus and love to honor that, what we strive to do is have that Christ presence be born in, through, and as each one of us. So that's what we encourage, that today, the day before Christmas, that you set aside a little bit of time to simply have time in space, in time of quiet, where you focus on the Christ consciousness energy. Everything we do during the holiday season of Christmas is some aspect of the Christ birth, even though after so many years we've lost some of the meaning for all of that. But even the gifts that we open are about the gifts of the Christ child. So even though we open toys and pajamas and video games and all kinds of fun things that we get one another. What we want to remember is this is a really special season because it is when virtually the Christ consciousness came to earth. It was already here, obviously, but was known in fullness in Jesus the Christ. And that's what we honor in our particular faith tradition.
Yeah, there's always something really special about Christmas Eve, and I don't mean like if you're listening to this now, we usually publish this first thing in the morning, between 7 and 9 o'clock in the morning, and so right now, if you're listening to it, the vibration might be buzzing pretty fast, but I don't know, around 7 or 8 o'clock at night,
Yeah.
when all the stores start shutting down, the traffic starts drying up on the highways,
Yeah.
and there's a stillness really unlike any other stillness over the entire year. And it's that Christmas Eve up until around lunchtime on Christmas Day,
Yes.
right? There's like a good 12 to 18 hours of really, really stillness. And I think it's more than just the traffic. I think it's more than just stores being closed. I think it's what you're talking about. It's that Christ consciousness kind of descending
Yes.
onto people, right?
Yes, I believe it is. And of course, we know the Christ consciousness is love, it's hope, it's joy, yeah, it's peace, it's kindness, and I say love, it's unconditional love. It's a very radical kind of love. And what I noticed, and it just happened recently in a meeting, one of our incredible staff members at CCU decided to spearhead a toy drive, and she has so much passion about it and so much excitement. She said, I think kids need to have toys at the holidays, and I want to make that happen. I was like, awesome, we'll do it. And it takes somebody with that kind of energy and that kind of drive. And it is, in fact, the Christ consciousness in action. It's there should be a gift for everyone. And yes, that is that special energy. It is even in the room right now, I can feel it as we speak about it. The Christ consciousness is what everything is made of. And so when we speak of it, it's, I was going to say it's like what's happening is it is awakening literally the atoms, the cells, the molecules into awareness of, someone is recognizing the very nature of the universe. And the very nature of the universe is the Christ consciousness. And yes, it is a very special time of year. And we honor that. And we honor it with our silence. We honor it with our love. We honor it with our gifts. We honor it with our support of one another, and especially our support of those who can do nothing for us in return. That is truly, truly the Christ consciousness.
Yeah. Yeah, and the Silent Night, the song Silent Night, just yeah, it perfectly encapsulates that moment. That I don't know, in my mind, I'm way over cinematically thinking about this, but like a snowflake just kind of coming to a halt and just descending slowly. I don't know. I'm in a really really chill place, I guess. I'm just ready. I'm ready for that time.
Yeah, Christmas is a special time of year for sure. And I just thought we would have a fun show today where we talk about some of the Christmas traditions that we have. It's interesting. I'm still in a learning process actually with this podcast, and I'm always surprised when people want to know things, random things about my life. I always think my job is to teach spiritual principle, but then people go, but we like when you talk about things about your life. So I thought it'd be fun today for us to share a little bit about some of our Christmas, spiritual Christmas traditions. And I thought we should go like past, present, future because of the ghost of Christmas past.
Right, yeah. This is how very Dickensian of you.
Yes. I thought we had to do that.
Right.
And it's amazing how you've heard me talk about different aspects of childhood and all of that. And like most people, I have some wonderful memories and I have some very tough memories as well. And we had some wonderful memories around the holidays. And we had a family tradition that I still remember today, and I still live out this tradition to a great deal because what we would do every Christmas Eve is we would get out their really big family Bible, and we
The
would
one with the gold, like the gold on the outside. Yeah.
yes, and I have that Bible.
Oh wow.
And we would turn the lights out, and my mom would read the Christmas story in Luke 2, which of course is not the only Well, yeah, I'll talk
That's the
about.
Linus one, right?
Yeah,
From
that's
Charlie
the one
Brown.
we always hear on Charlie Brown every year. And friends, this is important. I can't get totally out of spiritual leader mode. Uh, all the gospel stories are different, and it's wonderful to look in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John to see what there is around the Christmas story, because you will find that the only place like in the Charlie Brown special, the Luke 2, that is only in Luke. It's not exactly the same in any other gospel. And this is so because every gospel was written to a group of people for a different reason, for a particular teaching. So anyway, we would get out our big family Bible and turn out all the lights and light the candle, and my mother would read the story. Now, as she would read the story, she could never get through it because she was always crying. So then we'd always cry. So for us growing up, Christmas Eve was always really special. It was a time of connection. And we really learned in our family that tears were okay, that tears were holy even. I have an older brother who says my cup overflows and comes out my eyes.
Aw,
And
that's really sweet.
yeah, and he's a very strong male, but I love that he's in touch with his emotional side and can cry at a Bible scripture because it touches his heart, you know.
Yeah, especially one that he's heard every year.
Yes, exactly. So this was, I don't know if it was the case for all the siblings because I'm the youngest of so many, but I certainly remember when it was the youngest 3 or 4 of us still in the house, and we would get out the Bible, turn off the lights, light the candle, and my mom would read the story. And then at the end of the story, after we'd all, kind of wiped our, eyes and noses, we would close the Bible, and then of course, we'd leave something for Santa because there was Santa in there as well. We had to leave cookies and milk. It seems like one year somebody even spiked it, but anyway, that's the other part of my family history. And we would turn out all the lights, and then we'd have these little candles that we would take up our stairs, and we had this huge staircase as you came in our house, and most of our bedrooms were upstairs. And so we'd take our little candles, and my bedroom was, so we'd take our little candles up the stairs to light our way into our bedroom. And then as we extinguished the light, then there would be no more light until Christmas morning, which also made then all the gifts and all the light and all the brilliance of the day, be even more impactful, I think, because like Dave was saying, a silent night, holy night was really what we created. And in my view, what the Christmas story is really all about.
Can I read that passage?
Yes.
It's Luke 2, 8 through 14.
Yes.
It's the Linus one, but I don't know. I just feel
Yes.
like reading it.
Yeah.
In that region there were shepherds living in the fields, keeping watch over their flock by night. Then an angel of the Lord stood before them, and the glory of the Lord showed around them, and they were terrified. But the angel said to them, "Do not be afraid, for see, I am bringing you good news of great joy for all the people. To you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, who is Messiah, the Lord. This will be a sign for you. You will find a child wrapped in bands of cloth and lying in a manger." And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of the heavenly host, praising God and saying, "Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace among those whom he favors." That's the NRSV version.
Beautiful.
And I don't think I've read that, like, among those he favors. I love that.
Beautiful.
I love that.
Yes, and peace, goodwill to all people. It's so simple, the message of the Christ. I still to this day am confused at what I call fundamentalist Christianity means when it leaves people out of the kingdom. Peace, goodwill to all people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what the Christ energy, the Christ consciousness, as we call it, is all about. Beautiful. I have to admit, I was totally tearing up as you read it. I totally was. There's something so special about that passage, and I can never separate myself, nor would I want to, from that time, growing up when my mom read the story. I'm saying all of this about the past because I'm wondering what traditions you all have that are listening, what are meaningful. And over the years, I've learned from people over the years, some of the really meaningful things was having the manger scene. I guess a lot of people call it the creche.
Or the nativity.
The nativity, yeah, the nativity scene or the manger scene or the creche, and in several traditions, a lot of people just put up the nativity scene with Jesus there and Mary and Joseph and the animals. But what other people do, I've noticed, a friend of mine from Puerto Rico was telling me this, that they don't put the baby in until the 25th.
Oh, wow.
In the scene.
So
because
it's an empty manger all season long.
yeah, so it's an
that's
empty
great.
manger all season long. And then also the wise men come later too, because they don't arrive till January 6th.
Do they like have them lay off in the neighbor's yard and
no,
they get closer and
not
closer?
in the neighbor's yard, but they have them off, and then they move them closer and closer as Epiphany, which is the time when they come, approaches. And I loved that tradition. I had never done that, but it made it very real.
I like the idea of getting together with the neighbors and having like wise men like all over the neighborhood. That's
right. Well, a couple different people told me. A friend of mine from Honduras told me, and another friend from Puerto Rico. They said, really, Americans don't know how to do Christmas because in Latin countries the party is for a week.
Right.
And a friend from Mexico told me too. Told me about a posada where you go from house to house, literally celebrating. So anyway, I'm sure you have some wonderful past traditions.
Yeah, for me, I grew up on a military base, and so we were always far from family. The grandparents I think came over one year, but we were always far from family, and so I feel how that has reverberated through my life. Extended family has never. How do I say this? I don't want to say it. They've not. We were so insular.
Yes.
That extended family never felt required. Is that weird? I mean,
no,
you know
that's
what I'm saying?
great. Yeah.
I don't want to diminish my extended family, but when you're just plopped down there by yourself, you just learn to really just kind of cluster together and do your own thing. And I don't remember anything, quite like that. Obviously, my parents were very involved in church. So if the door was open at Tri-City Wesleyan,
you guys were there?
we were there. My mom, we all volunteered, or my mom volunteered, all four of us kids, to be little mini janitors and to help out around. And she did Sunday school and all of that. And there was always a cantata.
Yes.
There was always singing, and there was always special music happening. The things that really stick out for me are the Christmas decorations. Like, we would put the tree up, and my parents would always. Well, they when we lived in California, they had a very fake artificial tree because when you're kind of a broke military family, not broke, but you're watching every penny in the military family.
Well, plus there were like 4 kids, right?
4 kids, and we lived in California, in San Diego.
Exactly, it's expensive.
And so in the 70s and 80s, finding Christmas trees, that was a little tough and a little bit more expensive. So we just had kind of a fake Christmas tree. We didn't really get into real Christmas trees until my dad retired and we moved back to North Carolina. But I always remember the ornaments. We had our own little ornaments, and each kid had their own few ornaments that they themselves would put on the tree.
Yeah.
And so my dad and my mom would sit down and start unpacking everything, and I would always go to my ornaments and I would hang them up, and my mom collected precious moments, those ornaments, and so every year there was a new precious moments, and so many of our ornaments told a story, and so many of them were homemade. So many of them came from kids in school. We would make ornaments in class, and they were completely ugly, but that was kind of the point.
But they were yours, and you
That's
made
right.
them.
They were like clay or like melted plastic, with some thread on it or something like that. And so that's really what I remember. And we had the same lights, the big old bubble lights, before they were retro and back in vogue.
Yeah, when they were new.
Yeah, the big bulbs, and then we had, my parents loved icicles, like the little the metal. It's basically metal. hair, that you would just come and they would just, oh my, it looked like
Tinsel.
tinsel, right?
That's what that's
Right. We
called.
called them icicles, but man, it was they put so many, and every time you walked by them, the tinsel would kind of reach out and shock you as you walked by every single day. And so that's really what I remember. Some Christmases we'd go to the beach, on Christmas Day, and
Oh wow, that's crazy!
yeah, 'cause
Going to the beach on Christmas
you lived in
Day.
San Diego, going to the beach on Christmas Day. But the snow, cold weather, that was never a thing for us
Yeah,
growing up, at least
right.
until we moved to North Carolina. But I do remember a lot about the ornaments. I remember I could clearly see the star that we used every single year. And I'm sure it's like in a box somewhere with one of my sisters at this point. And so those were some of the past traditions. And I know
Yeah.
that once me and Shannon got married, this was after we were back in North Carolina. One of the traditions that we did was we would try to make like every grandparent's house. We would try to hit every
Yeah.
grandparent, and it got to the point where this is a tradition that we actually had to stop
Yes.
because it was getting so intense, especially once we moved
Yeah.
out to Memphis. It's a 12-hour drive to North Carolina. And the year that broke our spirits about this was we drove 12 hours. We spent Christmas Eve morning at one family. We spent Christmas Eve night at one family. We spent Christmas morning at one family, Christmas lunch at one family, Christmas night lunch or Christmas night dinner at another family. And it was just too much. It was just
Yeah.
way too
Yeah.
much. And I remember the first year we did not, quote unquote, go home for Christmas. And on one hand, it was tough, because we're not home for Christmas. But on the other hand, I felt like that was the year that me and Shannon finally made Christmas ours.
There was like peace in the house.
There
Peace fell over the land is what I wanted to say.
Absolutely was.
Yeah.
And not having kids, I think, had kept that from happening.
Yes.
I think if we had kids earlier in our, we don't have kids now, but if we had kids early, like in our 20s, then that pull away, I think, would have been a little bit more natural.
Yeah.
But it took well into our 30s before we were really kind of, you know what, we're not gonna take vacation days off from work. We're not gonna drive a whole day, spend 3 days driving around, and then another day. That's not. I don't think that's not worth it. That's not how we should be spending our Christmas holidays.
Right. And there tends to be expectations, like you say, when you don't have kids that you're the one that has to travel. And
Yep, absolutely.
there's something about like coming into your adulthood and finally owning it in a different way. And I think that's what you're talking about. In one way, it's like, yes, you love your family, and yes, that's really important, but you and Shannon are a family.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
you are in a family unto yourself, and it's so important to honor that. And I had to do the same thing, and mine was largely because of location, because I lived so far away. And then when I became a musician, and then a minister, when I was a musician, I was playing so much around the holidays, but I still usually went home, like certainly all through college and things like that. I always went home, but it's like I remember the first year I didn't go home. Meaning the place of my birth, and
Right.
somebody said, "Why aren't you coming home?" I said, "I am home where I am."
That's right. That's right.
And that was a big deal. And also, there was just a lot always going on at the holidays, and there was often things I did not want to be around. There was drinking, and all sorts of other things
Yeah.
that I did not want to be around, and I felt like it hurt my spirit. I wanted the holiday to be something I really enjoyed, and I wanted it to not be around have-tos. And I love my family dearly, and the holidays can be a tough time, even when we love our families. So
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so me and Shannon kind of making that boundary has led into some really good traditions that we carry into the present, and that
Yeah.
maybe we can talk about that on the other side of the break.
yeah, let's do that. I hope you come back.
We'll return to the program in just a few moments, but first, we wanted to give a special word of thanks to our podcast partner, CCU Orlando, who has helped make this episode of the Authentic Spiritual Journey possible. Christ Church Unity is a welcoming community dedicated to transforming lives, celebrating diversity, and supporting soul growth. CCU Orlando is located at 771 Holden Avenue in Orlando, Florida, with Sunday services at 9 and 11 a.m. You can stream services live online as well as learn more at christchurchunity.net. We would also like to extend our thanks to our podcast partner, Aikens Counseling Center. Cassandra Aikens is a licensed mental health counselor dedicated to creating sacred space where clients can explore their own inner process in a safe, non-judgmental, and supportive environment. She works with individuals, couples, and groups who are seeking to live a more authentic life. Aikens Counseling Center is located in Winter Park, Florida, and can be found on the web at cassandraaikens.com. We now return you to this week's episode of The Authentic Spiritual Journey.
Welcome back. We're glad you're with us to talk about all these fun spiritual Christmas traditions. And it's funny, I had the need to put spiritual traditions because any tradition that you have is ultimately spiritual because you are a spiritual being. And one of the things I was thinking of at the break, well, right before the break, as Dave was talking, I totally drained my coffee. And
I didn't even offer a refill during the break.
I know, man, you're slipping. And I've had plenty of caffeine today. But one of the great things in my household was lots of wonderful food and lots of wonderful drinks. Always coffee flowing like a river. And so for us, that was all that the holidays always meant, and Christmas certainly always meant lots of great food and certain traditions around that.
Me and Shannon driving all over the state of North Carolina and Tennessee, food was a central feature of every single one of it, and which makes it really tough if you're having Christmas morning and it's full on feast turkey stuff. I mean, full on, and then lunch, full on, and then dinner. Guess what? Full on. So we had basically three giant, that year that broke us, we had three giant Christmas meals in one day.
Yeah, it's just like, I'm out, man.
That's right. No, well, Mama didn't raise no quitter.
Yeah, so. right.
So I had full helpings at every single stop.
I mean, why not, right? You got to live it up.
Yeah,
I think that's a lot of fun.
It would be rude not to.
Yeah, right. Well, the funniest scene, I think I mentioned in one of the shows how much coffee we made and drank over the years. And my dad had a business in the home, and I think I mentioned several episodes ago that one day my mom made 16 pots of coffee, and that was, in fact, in the Christmas season. And so one year we got her one of those big 40-cup.
Like percolators?
Yeah.
Like the fellowship hall?
Yes, only much nicer. We all went together and got her like this stainless steel. It's like I don't know, 4-star restaurant kind of quality.
Wow.
But we all took a sip and we were like, no, it's not as good as the old pot. It was so funny.
Yeah, I've talked about, I have this little dinky 5-cupper that makes the best coffee.
Actually,
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it does make the best coffee. And it's funny because I have one of those too, and I think it makes the best coffee, that little one. So at the holidays, what would happen is the Mr. Coffee, it was the pot we had that everybody loved. And we would all just line up with our mugs, behind the coffee pot. And while that was happening, somebody else would go play piano, and then we would kind of just all switch. So there was always music, food, and coffee. And I have to say, a lot of laughter, a lot of kids, a lot of laughter, a lot of grown-ups, and there was always room in our house for one more at the holidays. And
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And does that carry to now?
Oh, yes, I think so. We love to have people over at the holidays. Although now, before we have a party, we have to completely redo the house. I don't know. Have to talk to my partner about that one. But we're having a good time. We love to have people over, and we love the home to be nice. So it's the holiday time for us is a time to kind of refresh, renew, and see what needs to be released, and kind of polish up what we have because we want to be our best. We want to be our best for the season. And one of the things I love to do at the Christmas season is unexpected gifts. I love to buy the right thing for the people that I love. So I put a lot of thought into the things that I'm going to get. I don't just get junk for my son, and I don't just get something easy for my partner or my family. For many years growing up, I keep going back to the past. Because we had so many people as we all got older. we would choose names, and so we would only
Hmm.
get like one person or two people or whatever, and then we would make our gifts. And so for many years, I made my gifts for like that. And then as I got older, I started sending things to all my siblings. So I love to make things, and I love to be very thoughtful at the Christmas season. It's a lot of fun.
It's one thing that like me and Shannon, we don't do a ton of gift exchange.
Yeah.
We don't. I mean, we have a niece and nephew, or nieces and nephews, and especially when we were going around a lot, we would do that more. And Shannon's sister just had a baby, a year or so
Oh,
ago,
yeah, yeah.
and so
That's right.
we pour all of our gifting energy, but even kind of between each other,
Yeah.
and her and
Yeah.
her folk. Of course, she will, with her mom, she loves to buy presents for her folks. We've made a pact this year. No, we don't. No, we're not doing any gifts. We're kind of putting our money towards somebody in the family who really needs it.
Cool.
And so, but yeah, between me and Shannon, gifts were never really. And I wonder what that's about. I'm having a session right here on the air.
Well, and I don't.
Yeah,
I mean,
know.
I don't think that's a problem if you both agree, and you don't need the gift giving. I don't think every relationship has to have that. I
Yeah.
think and around the holidays there seems to be a lot of have tos, and I think it's so much more from a spiritual place when you just do as you're guided to do.
Yeah.
And I think you guys spending money for somebody is in need is much more the message of the Christmas spirit, like I say, of the Christ child himself, would be to help somebody in need rather than give yourself stuff that, frankly, who needs another fuzzy lampshade?
Right. I know what
know.
when there again. I keep going back to this one year.
Yeah, that's
The
okay.
food was always there, and
Yeah.
then it was always gift exchanges.
Yeah.
And what was happening though is it had devolved into an exchange of gift cards.
Yeah,
That's,
exactly.
that's really what
yeah,
it was.
And
We
that's
drew
not,
names, and then I would always get a Best Buy gift card, and I would always give away. Uncle Jim would get a Lowe's gift card, and so at one year, when we did go back, they weren't doing gift exchange. They would buy for the children who just
Yeah,
didn't
we did that
understand
too,
why
yeah.
why don't we have presents? What gifts?
Yeah, we did that too.
But yeah, and that just it just depressurized the situation. you
Yeah.
know? And so, but yeah, well, that year when it was just everybody literally, I think everyone just gave each other the same, denomination of gift cards.
Yeah, can I just give you money and be
I
done?
tell you what, let's not even do that. Let's just keep our money in our pockets,
Right.
and all assume we love Starbucks, we love Lowe's,
And we love each other,
we love
so
each other.
let's just hang out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I think, well, there's several things going through my mind. Sorry, Dave. How sometimes I have three trains of thought at the same time, and one is leaving the station. One of the things about gift exchange that I think we want to be mindful of is, again, what do we need? What is the gift going for? How much are we spending? We want to be conscious, as much as possible around the holidays. And often what I do for special people in my life, especially people that I know have what they need and they don't need a I always joke, a fuzzy lampshade or something like that,
Right.
or a gift card. That what I will do is go through something called the Heifer Project, which means I buy like a whole animal for someone for someone in a village. That buying that animal will bring them not only milk or meat, but it will also help them for the future, and it'll help establish for themselves their own commerce. And so I often do that, and we did a project like that with the kids at church. And the first year I did it, I wondered how people would respond. I thought, oh, great, we bought a family of what was it, like a family of chickens or something for somebody in Nepal or something like that. But actually, everybody I did it for was really appreciative. They said, I feel so good that you did this. And I did it in their name, right? So
Right.
if I was buying for a friend or a sister or whatever, I bought a special gift, and it helps a family in need. So I always feel really good about that. Now I get a catalog every year. And another one year, what I did is I did it by accident. I did it twice. I gave like $400 twice, and it was so funny because I got my my credit card receipt, and I was like, "Whoa!" And then I went, "Well, you know what? Wow, somebody got a double blessing this year, and oh my goodness that I could do that. Thank you,
Right.
God. So I thought, you know what? I could do that, and the universe knew that. It looks like a mistake, but there is no way I would ask for that
Oh,
money
I know.
back.
Yeah.
It's just
So
like,
what are they going to go impound a heifer from this poor
right,
family?
a
Is that
goat.
how
They're
that
going to go
works?
take the goat back.
Right.
And but I feel so good about doing gifts like that because I know it's making a real difference in the world, and it still lifts up a friend and lets them know I thought about them, and that's a very, very special gift. I
Yeah.
love doing that.
Yeah. I mean, there have been times when, like last year, I got Shannon a ancestry.com,
Oh, that's a great
like,
gift.
and she, because I know that she's really into her heritage and ancestry and all of that, and so she's been riding that high all year long. She did the swab and now everything, and so
I'll have to talk to her about that.
every now and then I have these little flashes. But here's what I want to make sure and encourage our listeners is like for me, I do not want anybody to like buy me anything and like put it on a credit card, or go into
Yeah,
debt.
go into debt to buy
Like
something. Yeah.
that's wow. You save your money. Like, well, I was talking to Judy. We were talking about this exchanging gifts and stuff.
And who's Judy?
Judy, thank you. Judy is Shannon's mom.
I mean, I know who she is, but
Right,
the
no,
listeners
for the
are
listeners, right.
Yeah,
Judy-
your other wife or something. Yeah.
Judy is Shannon's mom. Her folks live with us. You can listen to our episode a few episodes back when we talked about aging and blended families and stuff, and hear all about Judy. What was I saying? And she
Yeah.
we were talking about this, and I said, Judy, don't buy us anything. And she said, not even a little. I said, no, not even if it was just $50.
Yeah.
That's $50 that you can put into your gas tank and go see your grandson up in South
beautiful.
Carolina.
Yes, exactly.
That will bless me so much more than a Starbucks gift card,
Yeah,
or even if
exactly.
it's a cool picture frame or something. And I get that, and so,
Right.
but that would be such a better use of that. And I don't know if that's too cynical or pragmatic or whatever, but yeah, that was part of the conversation in terms
Yeah.
of us not doing real gift exchanges.
No, I think it's an important conversation to have. And again, what drives all the overbuying is, our expectation of others, of ourselves, the need to look good, all of those things that we've talked about all year that sometimes, pushes us into behaviors that are not healthy for us because it's really not a good idea to put every single thing you buy on a credit card because that means you really can't afford it.
That's right.
And we don't need to have shame about that, but we find other ways to give. If there's if really giving is important, then what a lot of times what we do in our household, even though we certainly do gifts, I mean, we have a child who's 11 years old, we certainly do gifts, but we try to do experiences, something that we can do all together. So even though it is a gift, even though we do buy gifts, certainly, most of our gifts are experience oriented, like we go and do this thing together or we go and do a concert together.
Yeah. Yeah. Now that you
yeah.
say that, that's Shannon and I do that kind of thing a lot for our anniversary. So
Yeah,
instead of
yeah.
exchanging gifts for our anniversary, we'll take a trip. We'll go to North Carolina, or we'll spend a week at Disney, or something like
Right.
that. So yeah, we do that quite a lot now that I
And
think of it.
and what I think is really important too about the season and especially for us on the spiritual journey is, all the songs say it's the most wonderful time, but the fact is, for most of us, it's very difficult.
Yeah.
There are old memories. There are hard conversations with family members. There are health challenges. There are credit card bills that you're dealing with. All the things we're saying. So we don't live in some a la la land that everything is perfect. But what I love to do again is look for the good in the season and try to bring that Christ consciousness forth. But when these things do come up, we deal with them and we bring new traditions into our present so that we can heal some of those wounds of the past. So when things do surface, and they will, because it is the holidays, it's important to create things for yourself. Like I have several friends in recovery, and I myself am in Al-Anon, and I have friends in AA, NA, OA, ACA. And for some people, the best holiday tradition for them, the best Christmas tradition, is to go to a meeting on the holiday because of how sacred their recovery is. So I just want you to consider what would really support you this season, what would really make the season special for you, and to be about that. To be really, it's funny, I'm thinking of the word, the present, and because we receive presents. And so how can you be present to your own process during the holiday season and give yourself the gift of following your inner guidance of what you are to do this year? So it may be a change of plans. It may be establishing a new tradition for yourself. It may be, coming to service tonight. Maybe you've never done a Christmas Eve service. It's so special when we light all the candles and we hold them up at the end. It's such a sweet energy.
Yeah, if you want to experience that stillness I was talking about at the beginning of the show,
yeah.
it's absolutely present there.
And this year for our Christmas Eve service, and if you were at church yesterday, you know this, but they're much more simple. We're not doing a big orchestra. We're not doing a big huzzah. I said, the really bringing in the Christ consciousness. The Christ consciousness was born into a very humble, had very humble beginnings. And so we really want to remember that and simplify around this holiday and really humble ourselves. There's an old praise song we used to sing, humble thyself in the sight of the Lord. Yeah. And that's really what the season is about. So our prayer for you, dear friend, is to, continue the spiritual journey, enjoy every moment that you can, and establish for yourself some wonderful new Christmas traditions that bring you in alignment with what your soul wants, what your soul needs, loving those around you, bringing in the Christ consciousness into the world to the best of your ability, and loving those around you, and especially giving the gifts to those around you who can do nothing for you in return, realizing that that is the measure of a humanity, and it is certainly the measure of our spiritual nature and our spiritual work.
Now that after church tonight, one of our traditions that we do, we call it the sleigh ride.
Oh.
And it started when we got an old Beetle convertible for Shannon way back in Memphis, and we would bundle up, put all of our, we would get all of our winter coats, and no matter what the weather was, we'd take the top down and go look at Christmas lights.
Oh, that's awesome!
And now that I think back, as a kid, we would drive around Christmas Eve night, sing Christmas carols.
Yes.
And go look at Christmas lights.
Yes.
And for the first time this year, Shannon has a convertible again.
That's awesome.
It's just a little Beetle convertible. It's nothing at all fancy. It sounds a lot sexier than it really.
Are you kidding? That car is awesome.
And so we're going to do that. We're going to do that tonight. We're going to bundle up, and of course, here in Florida, it's not going to be totally
you don't really
cold.
have to bundle, but
no, but we've done that, the sleigh ride in like 10-degree weather. And
that's
everything.
awesome.
But yeah, turn on some Christmas music and fall asleep to Christmas music on the radio. Yep.
Yeah, we do that every year. We go and at when I was at Unity of Phoenix as an associate minister, we actually rented it was like a small bus. We called it the trolley. It looked like a trolley, but it was kind of a dolled up little bus van thing. And we would do we would go look at Christmas lights all around the neighborhood. And it was a great connection thing, and our family does it every year. Actually, we already started. We did it in November, actually, because so many people around us were putting up lights early. We noticed that. I'm not sure what that trend was this year.
Yeah, my neighbor started a week before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Of course, he really outdoes himself. He makes us look terrible. But
right.
But he goes full on Griswold. And
nice,
3 days on a ladder and everything. So, but they've been on all season long, and yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So we're glad you joined us for this. And we don't really know what our future holidays are going to be, but what we know is we're going to trust God, trust our inner guidance, and move forward with grace and love and peace. And believe me, our prayer for you this holiday season, this Christmas season, is as much love as you can hold for you to receive that, and definitely goodwill to all. And we send our love and blessings to you, to your loved ones, and even to the world, that everyone will know the spirit of the Christmas season, which is love, hope, peace, and goodness for all people. So bless you. Thank you for listening. And we'll see you soon.
Yep. See you next week for New Year's Eve.
Take care.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of The Authentic Spiritual Journey presented by CCU Orlando and Aikens Counseling Center here on the Experience of the Soul podcast channel. This channel is made possible through the continued support of our angel patrons, Dove Borland, Angela Martinez, Peter Gibson, Paul Caswell, and Two Spirits Health Services, along with our partner patrons, CCU Orlando and Aikens Counseling Center. If you would like to help be a part of bringing shows like this and other programs to the channel, please consider becoming a patron. For information, episode show notes, and details about our other shows on the channel, head over to experienceofthesoul.com. And if you enjoyed this program, you can help spread the word by leaving a 5-star review on Apple Podcast, Google Play, Stitcher, or the podcast platform of your choice. The Authentic Spiritual Journey is copyright 2018, Cynthia Alice Anderson, all rights reserved. Our theme music is composed by Shannon Croft and used with permission. The Experience of the Soul podcast channel is a production of 818 Studios.